3,000 years ago, in the sacred mountains of Jerusalem, an old man whispered something to his son that would change the fate of entire generations. He said, "My son, there is an invisible enemy, a whisper that dwells in the mind of every man, and this whisper steals more than gold. It steals destiny." I am the Rabbi, and what I am about to reveal to you today has been hidden for millennia in the sacred texts of the Torah. This knowledge is not for the faint of heart. Why? Because when you discover which silent thought is destroying your life at this very moment, everything will change. Your wealth, your relationships, your peace, your purpose. Millions of people around the world are trapped. They work, they pray, they try, but something invisible blocks them. And today, I will expose this hidden enemy, not with empty philosophy, but with the ancient Hebrew wisdom that transformed beggars into kings, slaves into liberators, and lost souls into beacons of light. If you feel something is wrong but you can't quite put your finger on what, if you work hard but never see results, if you pray but the doors remain closed, then this video was sent to you for a reason. The universe is calling you, and I'm just the messenger. Let me ask you a question that will pierce your soul. What is a thought you repeat to yourself every day but never admit out loud? Is it, "I'm not good enough"? Is it, "I always fail"? Is it, "Nothing works for me"? Be honest, because that silent thought isn't just an idea. It's a curse you're putting on yourself. If this message resonates with you, subscribe now. Join our community of truth seekers. Here, we don't just watch videos. We transform lives through timeless wisdom. Let me take you back in time, to a time when the prophets walked among us. In the Torah, it is written in Proverbs 23:7, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." These words are not poetry. They are universal law. They are divine code. 2,000 years ago, in the Judean desert, lived a man named Elimelech. He was rich, he owned land, he had a family, but there was a famine, and while the other men prayed and waited, Elimelech thought, "There is no hope here. God has abandoned me." That silent thought, that whisper of despair, became his reality. He fled. He abandoned his promised land, and years later he and his sons died in a foreign land. The story is written in the book of Ruth. It is not fiction. It is a warning. Why? Because the silent thought you carry within you is not neutral. It is a seed, and seeds grow. If you sow doubt, you reap failure. If you sow fear, you reap misery. If you sow self-condemnation, you reap destruction. Kabbalistic masters call this Maishava Rishonit, the first thought. And we were taught that the first thought you allow into your mind upon waking determines the energy flow for the entire day. Now let me reveal something profound to you. In the Torah, there is a concept called Lahon Hara, the malicious tongue. Most people think this means gossip, but the ancient rabbis knew something deeper. The worst Lashon Hara is not what you say about others, it's what you say about yourself. When you think, "I am a failure," you are speaking ill of God's creation. You are calling the Creator's work flawed. That is not humility, it is spiritual blasphemy. The Talmud teaches us that every word has creative power. Why? Because God created the entire universe with words. Yehi O, let there be light, and there was light. If God uses words to create worlds, imagine what your words, even the silent ones in your mind, are creating in your reality. You're building prisons with your thoughts. You're blocking blessings with your limiting beliefs. And the most tragic thing, you don't even realize you're doing it. In Kabbalah, there is the concept of the 10 Sephirot, divine emanations. The first Sephirah is called Keter, the crown. It represents pure divine will. But there is a shadow, an opposing force called Silipa, the shell that blocks the light. Your silent negative thoughts are Kelipot. They are dark shells that envelop your soul and prevent divine light from flowing through you. When you think, "I don't deserve it," you create a Kelipa around the Sephirah of Chesed, loving kindness. Blessings want to flow toward you, but you have built a wall. When you think, "I always fail," you create a Kelipa around the Sephirah of Netzach, victory and resilience. Success knocks at your door, but you have closed the entrance. Kabbalistic masters have discovered that 90% of spiritual blocks don't come from demons or external curses. They come from within. They come from the internal dialogue you repeat 1,000 times a day without questioning it. Now, I'm going to share something that few rabbis reveal. There's a hidden verse in Deuteronomy 30:14 that says, But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you may obey it. What does this mean? It means that the key to your transformation isn't far away. It's not in a Himalayan guru. It's not in crystals or complex rituals. It's in the words on your lips and in your heart. Your silent thoughts are unconscious prayers, and God answers all prayers. If you pray, "I'm not good enough," 1,000 times a day, the universe says, "Yes, so be it." If you pray, "Nothing works for me," the universe orchestrates circumstances to confirm your belief. You are not a victim of fate. You are a co-creator of your reality through the power of your thoughts. So how do you break that pattern? How do you destroy the silent thought that sabotages your life? First, you need to identify it. For the next 3 days, observe your thoughts, especially when you wake up and before you go to sleep. What is the recurring thought? Write it down. Secondly, you need I replaced it. In the Hebrew tradition, it is not enough to eliminate the negative. The space must be filled with the positive. This is called tikkun, spiritual correction. If the self-sabotaging thought is, "I'm not good enough," the correction is a biblical statement. "I am created in the image of God." Genesis 1:27, "I am a bearer of divine light." If the thought is, "I always fail," the correction is, "I am more than a conqueror." Psalm 60:12, "With God I will do great things." Don't just think those words, say them out loud. Why? Because sound has creative power. Sound transmits frequency, and frequency transforms reality. The deepest truth is this: you don't just need to change your thoughts, you need to change your identity. In the Torah, God changed Abram's name to Abraham, Sarai's to Sarah, Jacob's to Israel. Why? Because a name represents identity, and identity determines destiny. As long as you identify as the one who always fails, or the one who doesn't deserve it, you will live from that identity. But when you accept your true identity, son or daughter of the Most High, bearer of divine light, heir of blessings, everything changes. The silent thought that sabotages your life is rooted in a false identity. And today you have a choice: continue living the lie or awaken to the truth. Let me tell you 3 true stories of people who destroyed their self-destructive thoughts. The story of David. David was 42 years old. He was a businessman. 3 businesses had failed. He came to me with tears in his eyes. "Rabbi, why does God hate me? Why does everything I touch die?" I looked at him and said, "David, God doesn't hate you, but you hate yourself, and that hatred is destroying everything." We spent weeks identifying their unspoken thoughts, and then we discovered, I'm not as smart as my brother. From the age of 7, he compared himself to his older brother, who was a doctor, and that comparison became a mental prison. I gave him a spiritual task. Every morning, for 40 days, he was to look in the mirror and declare, "I am a unique creation. My abilities are divine gifts. I walk according to my own purpose, not in the shadow of another." For the first few days, she cried. Her words seemed false. But she carried on, and something miraculous happened. On the 30th day, an idea came to him, a completely different business idea. He put it into action, and in 6 months it generated more revenue than in the previous 10 years. But the real transformation wasn't the money. It was the peace in her face. It was the confidence in her eyes. It was the freedom in her soul. Rachel's story. Rachel was 35 years old, single, desperate to find a partner. She had gone to therapy, consulted with rabbis, prayed and fasted. Nothing worked. As we were talking, I asked her, "Rachel, what's the first thought that comes to mind every time you meet someone?" She hesitated. Then she whispered, "They're going to leave me. Everyone always leaves me." This thought stemmed from her childhood. Her father abandoned the family. Her first boyfriend ended the relationship abruptly, and this pattern became ingrained in her mind as a universal truth. I taught him a Kabbalistic principle. You attract what you radiate. If you radiate fear of abandonment, you attract people who confirm that fear. The spiritual correction was this. For 30 days, he was to write daily, "I am worthy of lasting love. I attract a faithful partner who honors me. I am a home to myself first." In addition, he must perform an act of chesed, kindness, every day to strengthen the sephira of love. At first, it seemed strange to her, but she persisted. And on the 50th day, she met someone. Not on an app, not at an event, in a bookstore, buying a book about spirituality. Now they are married, they have 2 children, and Rachel always says, "The rabbi didn't bring me a husband, he gave me back myself." The story of Samuel and his son. Samuel called me late at night. His voice was trembling. "Rabbi, my 16-year-old son wants to die. He says he's worthless. He says the world would be better off without him." My heart shattered. I knew this kind of pain, this darkness. They came to my office. The boy Eli wasn't looking up. His shoulders were hunched. He was exhausted. I didn't lecture him. I simply asked him, "Eli, when was the first time you thought you weren't good enough?" Silence. Then tears. "When I failed my math test in 5th grade, my teacher told me in front of everyone, 'You'll never amount to anything.'" One sentence. From a ruthless adult. And it became a child's identity. We worked together, father and son. I taught Samuel that he should bless Eli every day. Not empty praise, but declarations of biblical identity. And I taught Eli something powerful. Every negative thought is a test, and you can choose to pass or fail. When that voice tells you you're worthless, answer aloud, "I am precious in God's eyes." Isaiah 43:4. It took time, but little by little the light returned. Eli began to smile. She started painting again, something she loved but had given up. Her grades improved, but most importantly, her soul healed. Today, Eli is 21 years old. He studies psychology at university. He wants to help other young people who are struggling like he was. Now I know what some of you are thinking. "But Rabbi, I already tried thinking positively. It didn't work." Listen to me carefully. Superficial positive thinking is different from deep spiritual reprogramming. Empty affirmations change nothing. But when you anchor your affirmations in biblical truth, when you connect them with the energy of the Sephirot, when you declare them with genuine faith, that's not self-help. That's theurgy. That's sacred magic. The difference is this. Positive thinking says, "I am rich," while you are broke. Spiritual reprogramming says, "I am blessed to be a blessing. The doors of abundance are open to me because I walk in harmony with the divine will." Can you tell the difference? One is an illusion. The other is a prophetic decree. Second objection. "But I don't know Hebrew. I'm not Jewish. Will this work for me?" Dear friend, the wisdom of the Torah is not just for Jews. It is for all humanity. God is not tribal. Light does not discriminate. You don't need to speak Hebrew. You need to tell the truth. You don't need to fulfill all 613 mitzvot. You need to fulfill one, to love yourself as a divine creation. Spiritual principles are universal. Gravity applies to everyone. And so does the law of thought. Third objection. What if I've already caused so much damage with my negative thoughts? Is it too late? Never. Never, it's too late. In the Torah, there is the concept of teshuvah, returning. It's not just repentance, it's returning to your true self. And teshuvah has the power to transform intentional sins into merit. Your years of negative thoughts can become a testament. Your pain can become a purpose. Your darkness can become a light to guide others. Today is the day, not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Today. Now I'm going to give you a deeper revelation, a secret that few know. There's a specific time of day when your statements have the most power. It's called Amud Hashajar, the column of dawn, the minutes between total darkness and the first light. Why? Because right now, the world is in transition. The forces of judgment are receding, and the forces of mercy are rising. It's a spiritual window. If you can wake up at that time, generally 30 to 60 minutes before dawn, and declare your spiritual corrections, the impact will be 10 times more powerful. Kabbalists call this Iratzon, time of divine favor. Combine this with water. Drink a glass of water and before drinking, state your intention over the water. This water brings the blessing of renewal. Every cell in my body receives new life. My mind is cleansed of self-destructive thoughts. Water is the most receptive element. It absorbs intention. And when you drink it with sacred awareness, you are literally reprogramming your body at a cellular level. Here's your challenge. You're full during the next 30 days. Days 1 to 3. Identify your main self-sabotaging thought. Write it down. Days 4 to 10. Every morning, upon waking, he declares aloud the biblical correction that counters the self-sabotaging thought. At least 3 times. Days 11 to 20. Add one act of kindness to your daily routine. Do something kind for someone without expecting anything in return. This breaks the cycle of self-centeredness that fuels negative thoughts. Days 21 to 30. Every night before you go to bed, write down 3 things you are grateful for. Small things, simple things. a smile, a bird, a meal. This trains your mind to see the blessings. On the 30th, you won't be the same person. Your brain will have been rewired. Your energy will have shifted. And those around you will notice without you saying a word. My dear son, my dear daughter, if you've come this far, it's no coincidence. Your neshama, your soul, was crying out for freedom, and today the chains are beginning to break. I bless you now with the words of the ancient priests. May the Eternal One bless you and keep you. May the Eternal One make his face shine upon you and show you his mercy. May the Eternal One turn his face toward you and grant you peace. May the thoughts that have sabotaged your life dissolve in the light of the Creator. May every word you say, every thought you think, be a seed of blessing. May you wake up tomorrow with clarity, purpose, and divine power flowing through you. May your hands prosper in everything you undertake. May your heart be healed of all old wounds. May your eyes see miracles that others call coincidence. May your children and your children's children be blessed for generations to come. And that finally, at last, you may come to know who you truly are. Not an accident, not a failure, not a disappointment, but a masterpiece of the divine, created with a purpose, destined for greatness, loved beyond measure. Silent thought no longer has power over you. You are free. Shalom.